Hi there, my name's Dave and this is my first tutorial video. It's actually more of a quick tip actually. It's to do with 3D printing. I started 3D printing 2 weeks ago when I received my first printer. I'm still a novice, so I'm not offering any expert opinions here. I'm thinking more from the terms of modeling and recycling, avoiding wastage and all of that. As you know, with 3D printing, if you're using any kind of bed adhesiveness, then you're using a raft or a skirt or something like that. And as you can see, here's my rafts. I got quite a lot actually, quite a lot for 2 weeks, but that is simply because I have been printing a mesh grill. Yeah, there's actually 6 panels here, which accounts for a lot of those rafts, and they're all super glued together. I'll talk about this in another video, but basically it's a design from the 1960s that I'm trying to reproduce. Anyhow, one of the things I wanted to do was make a stand for my Osmo Pocket. This little camera here is a fantastic little camera. Hopefully I'll do a review on it soon for you, but it's a beautiful motion stabilizing camera. But to do it, it has this gimbal. And there's been a few occasions where I've, rather stupidly I must admit, had the thing switched on while connected by USB to my computer. And then the computer's dropped the USB, and next thing you know, this thing's going like crazy on the table, almost breaking. So to protect it against absent-minded moments like that, and just general use. I mean, for example, I'd like to be able to just, when I'm in a class teaching DE, and I need to mark their work, sometimes I need to get video evidence of their work, so I go around with this, shooting video, but there's no safe way to sit it down on the bench while it's switched on, because this base is really small. So I really wanted to make this. Sorry, wrong button. There we go. So this is a beautiful little stand. As you can see, it's got a nice lock here. The USB cable can stick through there and all of that. It's if you're interested, you can find it on Thingiverse. There's the webpage. Just look for DJ Osmo Pocket Charging and File Transfer Stand. Okay. Very nice stand. But the problem with this is that I made a mistake with my settings. Okay, this is no fault of the designer, but I didn't go for a very dense infill. It was far too sparse. I tried a different app, and I wasn't familiar with it, and that was a dumb thing to do, especially on this particular print. So if you have a look back here at the model, part of the way through the print, it broke. Okay, it broke about here. On one side, still remained attached. It was sort of like flopping around like a hinge. And it broke again here, just at the base of that curve. So basically I ended up with this section here being thrown onto the floor, and this section here not being printed at all. When I come upstairs and looked, I come up early enough that it didn't go too far, but there was basically a huge clump of just messed up filament that had come out failing to print. So I thought I had 2 options. My option was to either waste it or just try again or fix it. You know, so I could either give up, try again and fix it, but either way, if either of the 2 options means throwing it out, I mean, that's a lot of waste. I mean, you're talking, not just talking about the filament, the print, you're talking also about the time spent. It had already been in the printer nearly 5 hours. That's a lot of electricity for heating the nozzle and heating the bed. So I didn't want it to be a complete waste. So what I decided to do was to reclaim some of these. This is from another failed print, unfortunately. I tried to print the USS Enterprise, but again, I'd only had the thing 6 hours, and I was already trying to print something complex, which was really dumb. So it failed, but you know, so I decided I'd keep all of these things, because you never know what they can be used for. Now, as a modeler, I like making things, so I can see stuff like this, these larger sheets, you know, you can cut them through and make buildings out of them if you're into model railways, or building dioramas, whatever else. So I think these have got immense recyclability potential. And there's a new word for you, recyclability. Anyway, back to the topic. So I thought, I'm going to fix this. So basically, One modification actually to the design that I thought I'd leave the raft on. You can see the light shining through how big the stand is, the base of the stand compared to the overhang of the raft. I did that because I wanted to have good stability so it doesn't fall over sideways. Because when you think about it, when the camera is sitting in here, that's very tall, it's very top heavy. So that reduces the sideways. So I recommend if you're going to print this one or anything like this, maybe just keep the raft on, glue it on just to be extra safe, just to give extra stability. But anyhow, what I did was I just glued in here and in here to glue this back on. I poured lots of glue into the infill to make sure it's a good solid hold, turning it upside down and so on, making sure. Okay, and then I just cut a little bit of rafting and glued it across the top. Okay, it should have been about this high, you know, to give more stability to the stand, and I might make a small extension there, yes, out of more rafting. But the point of the matter is, a little bit of rafting, a little bit of glue, and I now have a usable stand. It might not be perfect, it might not be pretty, but I still have a usable stand. And it seems to be quite happy there. The way it's designed here, well designed, so well, I think. You know, it locks it in, it doesn't fall that way, and you'll still plug the USB cord in for charging purposes. So overall, it might not be what I wanted, it might not be the perfect job, but it works. Okay? So I would consider encouraging you to think about how you can recycle the rafting, because you know, if you're doing a lot what I'm doing, like printing out these grills, you're going to have a lot of rafting left over. It's a shame to waste all of that, and that's one of the things that upsets a lot of 3D printers. People, not the printers, the people printing with, yeah. So anyhow, it is sometimes not very cost effective, but you can make it more cost effective if we go ahead and recycle these things for different purposes. And you know, I'm actually going to be starting a new workstation build. Watch out for that. It's actually going to be themed on Star Trek, the original series from the 1960s. So I'm building a workstation that has a desk, the lower section reminiscent of the lower section of the command consoles on the bridge of the Enterprise. The upper section, the cabinets and the table to the side, more reminiscent of designs from officers' quarters, like Captain Kirk's quarters, and things like that. And I foresee that there's a lot of opportunities in this, you know, to use these. For example, in the lower section of the cabinet, okay, I'm going to use that as the CPU case instead of a CPU case. That way there's better cooling potential, easier to keep clean. Now, we have dogs, a lot of hair flying around, you know, so I think it's a lot easier to clean something that would be more open than something that's more enclosed. Anyhow, so what I was thinking of mounting the motherboard and the hard drives, all that stuff directly into the lower section of the cabinet. Okay, so these can go behind the hard drives, behind the motherboards, all that kind of stuff to provide a little bit of heat shielding against the wood and the paint of the cabinet. So even for something as simple as that, these can still be of very valuable use. You know, so think about the recycling potential. And incidentally, that's what this is for. This is actually the grill, the ventilation grill. It's copied from a photograph of Spock underneath the command console and doing some repair work. Anyhow, yeah, that's what I want to encourage you today. Think about how can we recycle the waste from 3D printing. Thank you very much, and I will see you hopefully in the next video.